I mean, there haven't been too many. So people from Australia have got, I mean, they're not part of it. I'm not going to say left out. It's not like such a thing that people would feel left out, but I don't want them not to be part of it. So we'll start putting it out. So it's going live on YouTube also. And yesterday, Denise came up with one question. She said, let's ask everyone this question. And I'm asking you that question. Why are you here? Because yesterday we asked everyone that question, which was I think, good starting point. Yes, Peter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why are you here?
So I haven't thought about that question to start off with. So you've given me then, you've prompted me to sort of start using the old grey matter, and I don't mean my underwear, Vikram, to be able to then answer that question. I'm here in order to see if there's a person, because I've listened to 2 conferences so far, I haven't yet heard the third one, but is it possible to influence one person who may then influence 2 people, who may then influence 20 people, to de-escalate the rhetoric that flies around in these conversations, so that people can go to the balcony, as William Ury says, and look at this and say, it's not about Arabs, it's not about Israelis, it is about attempting to find out how can these people live together once, and if it's possible within the next 2 generations for that to happen.
Absolutely. Exactly. I
so
think yeah.
No, please.
No, it's exactly what I mean. I've been trying to put out that what we are doing is not just about these discussions that we are having. What we have to do is go out, which is what the mediation circles is about. Go out and tell people in your school, in your college, in your community, in your organization, create the same Israel-Palestine mediation circle. Have your conversations there. And yesterday, what we discussed was, because Orith was there, she's from Israel, and she said, look, a lot of these conversations we're having, they're going out on live on YouTube. A lot of people might not want to come in. So I said, well, look, we're going to balance the two, because I wanted to go out live and on YouTube so that more people join us. And then we'll have people, we can have conversations which are not recorded, which are not on YouTube, but we will still in some way put a little summary of that discussion and then put that out, so that at least people know that these conversations happen. And I'm saying this is the same thing we replicate down to a school, a college, a community, an organization, for them to do the same. And that's how the numbers increase, and that's how the conversations increase. And then you can actually influence even politics down from the grassroots levels, because at that level, maybe there might be might not be so many vested interests. Like we say, at the global level, the arms industry comes in and it has whatever its own vested interest to escalate all these conflicts around the world. So they're not concerned with people. They're just concerned that, okay, we have to sell arms. So they might not be able to influence a discussion in a school. Maybe let's hope they can't. So then that conversation happens, and that's how the whole concept changes, because someone spoke about the other. I'm saying the other is also created by someone. That's the other. So why should we let someone else create that, and let people within themselves, I mean, at least have that conversation? So that's exactly the direction that you are saying is exactly what we need to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we can create those conversations that step out of the press, the media that people are on, the social media, and I don't know who might be interested, but as I said, if one of us within is able to pick up some new perspectives, some new knowledge, some new skills in order to convey that information, as I did with Denise in session 2, then already I've gained benefit from it. And rather than just think of what the benefit would be to somebody else, I'm also considered that what benefit will there be for me to do that, so that I could be a little bit more helpful to other people, more proficient myself, and also in this theatre to see how that can be influenced. You see, I don't believe we have the ability to change the minds of people tuning into this. All right, yeah, that's my view. I would like to see that maybe I'm wrong. What we can do, and there's a very interesting book I've read over the past 6 months called How Minds Change. You familiar with the book?
No,
Oh
I
no,
don't.
you don't.
Exactly. No, you're going to tell me about it, so my reading is done because you'll pick up the gist of it. And maybe if I was reading the book, I would have picked the same up. So it's good for me. Look, how many books I can read so many books now. If you can tell me the
Yeah,
gist of it, yeah.
yeah. How Minds Change is a really interesting book because it's by a New York Times reporter who went to try and look at what happened with these conspiracy thinkers. And one in particular who believed that the 9/11 was a whoever plot, the bigger powers, and actually remind me to come back on the arms people that you were talking about, because I want to understand who are the arms people, right? We'll come to that. And he describes a method by which this conspiracy theorist, who was very well known, who had fixed extreme views on what happened in 9/11, how that person came to change their mind. Because you're dealing with a person who is very, very fixed, and anything that you said, they weren't going to accept. What they found that changed their mind was a method described as street epistemology.
Mhm.
Street epistemology was a method developed at a university to attempt to get people to think about what their thoughts are on a particular topic. So it's not to attack them for their views, and it was done with their permission, and people used to line up because they wanted to be challenged, but it was challenging them on the thoughts that they had on a particular subject. And through that challenging of the thoughts, it made people have that extra level of awareness to be the observer of what they were thinking, perhaps drawing from Eastern thinking, who knows? But that process, in my view, is the way to deal in these sort of fixed zero-sum game situations where you can actually, the more I push you into a particular position, you're going to push back.
Mhm.
Potentially replace certainty with curiosity also, as William Ury said. That's the way to actually look at getting people to think about something.
Yeah.
So there are methods by which I would like to also hear of in these circles that help me influence others, and also can potentially influence this situation. And I maintain street epistemology may be one way to actually get the very, very fixed-minded people from looking at it from just another dimension.
Absolutely.
The other issue that comes in is a concept that was developed by Werner Erhard, who ran these groups called EST and the Forum over many decades ago from America and spread worldwide, was a concept by the idea of survival of identity. And I can't accept another opinion if it's going to threaten what I perceive as my identity. So I want to use an example. Right now, there's a lot of people, including the press, who have said the rapes and the mutilation and the whatever horrible things happened did not happen. Or they may dismiss them out of hand. Well, the war didn't start on the 7th of October. And to me, this is a survival of identity, because if I was actually to embrace such a perspective, I'd have to actually challenge who I have been for the last 10 years, 15 years, what my beliefs are for the last 10 to 15 years, and therefore, how can I deal with that? That's the idea of survival of identity. So I'll create something in order to maintain the validity of what my specific identity is. Because here's a book that I'm reading, which is fascinating. I don't know if you can see that.
No,
no.
What's
the identity?
Go. The Identity Trap, is it?
Yeah, you're good at reading backwards. So the Identity Trap, which explains what's happening today by people being with the intersectionality of all different identities and seeing themselves as oppressed, and therefore they have that in common. However, they are still separate, distinct groups of those who identify as oppressed. They're driven by identity, an even more extreme version of identity from what we have been driven up till now. Because it's not something new, but it's just a new version of what's happening. So there's certain things that I believe we've got to deal with in this particular circle, how to deal with those fixed, immovable perspectives and views. And I know that you wanted to say a few things, so thank you for letting me talk about that.
No, what you just said initially about changing the mind, or at least being able to think. Yesterday, I'm talking about yesterday itself, or again, Orith, who's from Israel, she said, like, what we just discussed has made me think. And that's a step ahead. I mean, just the fact that someone can actually put that. Because she was saying, look, I mean, first of all, initially when she came in, she was saying, look, I was really worried, and should I be here? What the discussion is going to be? So at least first, okay, is it a safe space? First, okay, so now I'm here, I can speak my mind. Okay, she said a lot of these things should not go out on YouTube. Okay, maybe we can look at that. But at least she was there, she participated, she heard, and then expressed her thoughts, and then maybe just made a think, and that's how we are going to do it. And but the person should be open in relation to listening to people. So that's also important, whom we bring in, because it's a slow process. So you bring those people in first, and then when they talk about what they earlier believed, and if they have changed their mind, it'll be a good thing to then put it out. Why did they change their mind? So that's how they will progress. So I think that I feel it's a work in progress. So we will, as we go along, realize and understand how we have to take it forward. And because we don't know where it's going to go. As long as we know that we don't know where it's going, I feel that's the best. The moment we say, look, we know this is what we have to do, I think then we'll start going wrong. The other thing is that in terms of the book that you said, have you connected with Fatma? Fatma, who was there earlier?
I remember her, but tell me about Fatma.
No, yesterday what Fatma did was, someone has to put this together in relation to different points of view, and I had put on that document that I sent you the link to, that you saw that document. That document was, the idea was to just everyone just put in what are the various points of view out there. So what I did was, which was maybe not the best thing, I just put out links in it, all the links that I was coming across. And then
I saw someone did that. I didn't know it was you. Okay.
The problem was, look, for me to actually then, a lot of these links actually explain what that particular post is about. So some things you can take from there, but it is a whole job to say, okay, now these are the various points of view, and now this is what is out there for each of them. Because when we do these sessions which are not going live, in that we can actually then click those links there itself and discuss each of those posts and what this person is about. And then maybe we can also reach out to that person, then why don't you come in and let's discuss this. So that's how I felt we can grow. But we can only grow this if all of you also have a look at all this, because I have all these other circles which I have to keep creating. So sometimes for me to, because even today there is a celebration of the anniversary celebration of my YouTube channel, and I haven't sent out any invitations. I haven't got time. Yesterday, this Greece Mediation Circle is being launched tomorrow, 1:30 in the morning. I finished that post. So please help me. So please, if you can, look at that document. Another thing that happened yesterday was Paula was there. So Paula said she will also help in trying to structure this thing. So Paula and Fatima are going to be connecting and working on that. So please connect with them, and at least whatever contribution you want to make, how you want to structure it. So
sure. No, I'm very happy to do that. I connected with a gentleman who offered a paper that he'd written on the history of the Middle East.
So we should put that up, because what we decided
Remember
yesterday
his
also,
name?
was it, I mean, what is Mohammed? What is Mohammed Hadia?
From Lebanon, I think.
Lebanon. There was a woman from Mona was there from Lebanon.
A man.
Rabi. Rabih. Is that
No,
Rabi?
no.
Mm,
Um,
who else was there?
but
Oh,
anyway,
Ramsey. Are you saying Ramsey? Ramsey was there? Ramsey is connected with Lebanon in some way, he was saying. But what we did
yes,
was, what we'll do is, one of the sections in that document or the spreadsheet that we can make is the reading material, the books that you're reading,
yes,
whatever you think is relevant. And then for people like me who might not read those books, you can then take us through what you felt was important, because Paula also showed us some books that she's reading, both sides of it, some of the Palestinian perspective, the Israeli perspective. Then we'll find people who are looking all the perspectives, and finally, hopefully, we can put together something which actually has all the perspectives. So
yeah. Rog was his name.
okay, yeah, he was there.
Yeah. So he offered to, like, he talked about his paper. So I reached out to him and said, look, I'd be very interested to read your paper, because he asked for some feedback, and I've read it and have written back to him to say, look, if you're open, I'm very happy to provide some feedback on that. So I'll continue that engagement with him, but happy to contact Fatima and Paula.
Fatma.
Fatma.
Yeah. The other thing is that in terms of the time aspect of it, because for you, definitely 8:30 is late. So we can always have a session which is earlier. So what is the latest that you can actually have a session? I mean, you can be a part of a session for your time.
But now it's, let's say, whatever time is now, I could still do one in 4.5 hours, say 10 o'clock.
No, yeah. In general, what we'll do is we'll keep a certain time when you are okay with that. It's okay for you, and it's not too early for people in
Yes.
Israel and all. So, in that sense, I think maybe about for them about, I think 8 o'clock is okay. So about this time, I think about this time is a good time. Whenever we do the next one, so we can actually look.
Now's a very good time. But if you said later, if you did it 4 hours later, it would also be a good time for me to do it. I could commit to an hour.
What time is it for you right now?
Right now, it's 5:27 in the afternoon.
Okay, so basically you're saying about 5 o'clock is all right with you, or about 9 o'clock, also good for you.
Fantastic.
So next gathering we fix up, because we fixed up a gathering on the next one in March, and what we decided was that we'll keep it for the first Tuesday in the month. At least let's start. That's a starting point.
Okay.
But we had fixed up the same time, that 8:30 India time, which might be late for you, so we can make that earlier. But then we'll have to keep it at about, so 4 hours from now is about 4 o'clock for me. 4 o'clock for me.
Which means I think in the Middle East it'll be noon.
Yeah, about that time.
So that could be good. It'll be 7 a.m. in America on the East Coast.
For them, it'll be too early. For them, at the East Coast still might be all right. Yeah, the West Coast will be too early. But doesn't matter. We can. It's all recorded, and we can do a later session for them also on the same day. Also, not a problem. So basically, let's just put that in your calendar. That the 5th of March, 4 o'clock. So we should definitely get people from Australia to be part of it. But do you think it'll be too late for them? I mean, do you think 9 o'clock is late for people there?
No.
They'll participate. Okay.
No, I don't think so. And I can help you promote as well.
Yeah, because this has been an issue with events, that I've largely kept them in the evening for me, because I kept that time for mediation promotion for me. But and Australia's been left out. I have got people from Australia and New Zealand in my events. It's not that they haven't participated, but I think lots more has to be done. Like there was Felicity who had, got in touch with me, and I told her today itself that she should be part of creating circles in Australia. So we'll fix up a time when you can also come in, and we can discuss the launch of the Australia Mediation Circle. That has to happen.
Fantastic. So you asked me a question at the beginning, why are you here? And I answered that.
Yeah.
And we had a nice discussion. I'm interested to know, what was it that you expected from these conversations on the Middle East
I told you
when
for
you
all.
kicked it off?
Yeah, for me, look, for me, all mediation circles, including this, I just told you what my concept was, that we have to reach out to people. I say grassroots, whether that's a good thing to use for people. I don't know the grassroots, but yes, at the grassroots level, we have to have people with the mediator mindset, people who are already out there who are helping people resolve disputes. It's all
Mm.
happening informally. It's a way of life for people. It's
Yeah.
out there, getting out there, identifying those people by people themselves. So we don't have to do it. We're just telling them that in your school or college or community or family or organization, just send a message out and ask people who are those people who help you or other people resolve disputes. So that's for every mediation circle, including this. So once those people we know who have that mindset, because that mindset is, I mean, I don't even want to put it down into points. So this is what we have to look for, because we don't know what we're looking for. It's just that trust in someone, and why that trust develops in those people, no one has to tell us. It's just trust. Okay, we trust this person. Well, that's all you have to do. So once they bring out that person, one, create that circle in that school with, because if you don't have the person with the mediator mindset, mediation circle doesn't get created. So we have to have that person. So create that circle in your whatever school, college, community, organization, family, and then these conversations start. So this is one conversation. Israel Palestine is one conversation. Similarly, these other circles have been launched. Say climate change. So global climate change mediation circle has been launched. So on climate change, whoever's interested to have that, you create a separate circle for that as part of. So the one is the world, like we have the world mediation circle. So in that we have these global climate change, we have Israel Palestine, we have family, we have organization, all that at the global level. The same thing gets replicated right down to the school, college, or community, family, organization. Once you've done that, those conversations, when they start at that level, and because I feel with the person with the mediator mindset out there, they will be able to have objective conversations. And I'm not saying bring everyone in. Create that community within the community. Be it small, be it small. Everyone might not have that mindset, or they might not know whether they have the mindset. But when they get to know this conversation is happening, and that's why this YouTube aspect of it comes in, that even that at that level, whatever conversation you're having, if you can and if you want to record it or tell me, if I will, if I participate in it, I can put it out on YouTube live at that minute itself. Or if you record it, send it to me, so it's updated on one common platform. So we have all these conversations available to people around the world. And then you realize that, yes, people have similar thoughts. And
Mm.
if those people with that similar thought can connect, so if you sitting in Australia find out that someone in Ecuador is having this conversation and it connects with you connect with those people, you participate in that. Why should you not be able to participate? Because ultimately we're all affected by everything that happens. That whole butterfly effect that we people talk about. It's all connected. So then, which has already happened, it's already happened that people have connected with each other throughout the world. And but that's happening up till now. It's happened. It's like I keep saying, this is like the matchmaking service. So people have connected, and definitely they're having that interaction. Now I want to convert that into them actually going out and creating these circles within
Mm.
their local, national level, and then bring those people out. So the other aspect of it, which I have always criticized, that creating mediators in 40-hour factories, now we have people who have the mindset. We'll create skill development programs for them. So I call that skill development. So we should not say that we'll come and train you to be a mediator. I just don't like that concept. So once we have that, look, there's already a lot of material on my channel. I'm saying just listening to Ken Cloak itself, of course,
Yes.
he's at that level that maybe a lot of people might not be able to connect with it because it's a different level. But whenever you can keep watching it and you'll connect with that. So we have
Yes.
at that level, we have that content available. Then we've had lots of conversations. So then more than 675 videos. So I would think it might be 900 hours of content lying there. So people can do that. That's skill development. That's also skill development when you watch that and you
Yeah.
listen to people with who've come in. It's not, there doesn't have to be a structured program. It is
Yes.
you pick up what you want to pick up and you go along. So that's the idea behind this circle and all the circles. So for me, that's all I'm doing. And
Yeah.
then you
No,
and you be, and as you go along, it's not that I have to be part of that conversation. Always, you'll be creating an Australia in Australia. You'll be creating an Israel-Palestine mediation circle. You'll be having that. All I ask is if you can record it, send it to me, I'll upload it.
right,
If you want to
right.
just summarize it into a document, we'll create an online document available for everyone to access, that this circle had this conversation and this is what came out of it. And that document will keep increasing in terms of whatever, I mean, from all parts of the world, we'll get that. And I think ultimately we'll realize we'll all have the same thought. And that's what the idea is.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for explaining that. It's incredibly visionary and very generous to be doing something like that. I am interested to know, you picked the Israeli-Arab conflict to discuss, and what is it about this specific dispute that you believe attracted the interest that it did
I,
attract?
no, I think everyone, one is, of course, a lot of content now was hitting you on social media, first of all. So I felt that people might, if they are looking at it on a broader perspective, they can pick up a lot of information from there as long as they have an open mind. So that was one. But the other side of it is the social media algorithm, that once you start looking at one side of it, then you only get, maybe, I mean,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's what really happens now, whether LinkedIn
yeah.
is doing that or not, because we know that
Yes,
Facebook does that, but does
yeah,
LinkedIn do it as much? So definitely that is a bit of an issue. But at least if there are other people who join the conversation, for me, it's like, look, I look at it as a maybe a model mediation circle, because conflicts are happening all over. We have the Russia Ukraine. We just had a small session on it where Ken also was part of that discussion, that we have mediators in the war in Ukraine. So that's available. The recording is available on the channel. So that we will pick that up also. But I thought, if let's just take one, and these steps that we are putting together in these last conversations, like this document that we're talking about, the reading material to be put together, bringing in those people who actually have their stories to tell. It's
mm,
not that, okay, I read this. No, I experienced this, which is what I
mm.
pointed out. I don't know whether you connected to Abe, who's in Australia. Did you connect with
No,
him?
I remember him because in conference number 2,
Hmm,
you said we need Abe here. Abe's family went through it. Abe may have
exactly.
been a little boy.
But yeah, what he also experienced is important for people to hear from him. So it's not just another thing that you heard. Here's the person. So ask him, talk to him. He's here. Let's talk to him what he went through. Because this is again something that Ramsey was a nice objective thing. He said, look, one, you look at it from a young boy who grew up as part of the conflict, who's a Palestinian. Then you look at from the settlers in whatever Israel or in that area. Let's look at that area, settlers. Now, settlers, the boy who grew up in that settlement, let's look at it from that perspective. That person thinks I have this right. This person thinks I have this right. So are they both right? Maybe,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
that's the way they grew up. So why
Yeah.
not get them to come up and talk about what they're thinking? And that's
Yeah.
how I said. So let's get the human aspect of it. The stories are part of it.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why Abe is one person who has spoken about it in his episode of Evolution of a Mediator. If that's available, so you can always, easy way is that if you go to YouTube and you put in Mediator Vikram first, and then if you put in the name of the person, so in this case, Abe Quadan, so you'll find that episode of Evolution of a Mediator. So he's spoken about his story right from that refugee camp in Jordan to how he reached Australia and what he's doing in Australia. So all that is available. One interesting part of it, which I had put up, I mean, I normally don't summarize any of the events, but in that sense, one interesting thing came out was that when they were living in those refugee camps, what used to happen is that the Israeli aircrafts, the fighter aircrafts, used to go right close to those things, and the entire ground would shake. And how these little kids, his siblings and all, had to huddle together, and of course you could not sleep. So one, when it was happening, you couldn't sleep, and of course you were terrorized, and just in anticipation of it happening, you did not sleep. So those are the kind of stories that this is a young
Yes.
person. Now, in his case, it moved towards him wanting to create peace museums. And he brought together Israelis and Palestinians in Australia. So he used to have that conversation. So he went in that direction. But people can go to the other direction. So it's not that, I mean, this is a fine line. You can move anywhere. And in the case of the Ken, we were on Monday, we had that his book, the new book that he's come out with, The Magic in
Magic
Mediation.
and mediation, yeah.
So we were talking about it, and I asked him because he was in terms it was Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and we were talking about that. I said, look, we talk about non-violence, but Ken himself was part of the civil rights movement, and at one point of time, there was for him a situation where he had spoken about it in his episode of Evolution of a Mediator about a sheriff because there was some people that they were carrying in a truck, and someone stopped them, and a sheriff put his gun on his head.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. So in that kind of situation, it's a very fine line in terms of where your mind can go. So do you actually end up judging that person for how they react? Because it's that moment, you can react in any way. So those are it's a very fine line in that moment what you go through. So let's get those stories about how this person maybe went on this side or that side, pulling a trigger. How does that happen? Why does that happen? So let's go in depth into that understanding, and let's not
yes,
judge anyone, let's not condemn anyone. Let's
yes.
be open to hearing everyone.
Well, if you use that axiom, replace certainty with curiosity, then does that give you the ability to make it a rich conversation, to be able to inquire about situations? So, one question that arises that as Abe was in a refugee camp that was under
Jordan.
the
In Jordan.
territory of Jordan, correct, because Jordan had annexed Jerusalem and the West Bank in 1950, a question might be, what prevented you from feeling as a citizen of Jordan?
But
As 66% of the Jordanians are of Palestine. The rest are, the minority is Hashemite, which is what the king is. So can there still be a rich conversation with a person telling their story? And how do you do that? How can you create a rich conversation? Because that question that I just asked might be an affront to them. So do you have any thoughts on something like that as to, how would you, so someone comes in, they give their story, their experience that's happened. What would you expect of people listening?
look, one is that because this person is in front of you, you talk to the person, you see whether, I mean, first of all, do you even accept what this person is saying? Whether this is coming from some vested interest. I'm not talking about Abe. I mean, we are talking in general.
General,
Is it
yeah,
coming from some vested interest? Because that's the advantage of at least having that person and being able to question the person. And I mean, look, this is your gauge of people, which you're doing at all times, and that's how whether the person is genuine, this person is being
yeah,
honest, is the person being authentic. That's what you do. So do that, and based on that, if you one change your mind about some situation, good. If at least if it makes you think, good. Everything is good because it's just a step ahead. What can
yes,
be we have to all only what we just have to discuss is what is the worst that can happen in relation to this interaction, and based on the worst that can happen, what we need to maybe safeguard in that sense. One is that whether going live and having those conversations going live without first at least going through that first kind of a, I won't say test, but a screening or whatever of this
yes,
aspect of is
yeah,
this person genuine, all these
yeah,
aspects. Maybe that can happen otherwise. It doesn't have to happen in the first stage of it going live. So
yeah,
that you're not letting people get influenced by someone who might not bring in the right story or being honest on things like that. So
yes,
all those
yeah,
things will happen. Yeah, as we go along, we'll get to know. But that's what I'm saying. It's a model. And
yeah,
then once we have kind of refined this and we know this is how we have to do, then we can use it in various other conflicts because this is like it be my circles and circles within circles. So the one is the larger one that has to be created is the International Territorial Dispute Mediation Circle.
Yes.
So we'll
Yeah.
bring in all those disputes which have
Yes.
that the territorial disputes. So we can have the larger
Yeah.
one, but we have one
Yeah.
available to us, which is something a lot of people in some way one know about maybe, but not know. They might not know everything about it, but at least they have some interest in it in some way because it's been going on for years and media brings it out. Because lots of other conflicts are happening which media doesn't bring out. At least you
Yes.
have one that a lot of content is
Yes.
available. So I take it as
Yeah.
a model, refine it, and then just pick this up and okay, now we're doing the Russia-Ukraine one, and we know these are the steps we should do because this has worked. So let's start with this. So it'll be easier for us to create that, and then we do one maybe India, Pakistan, or
Yeah.
somewhere else, wherever. So we'll go on
See,
creating
see,
those.
you mentioned about the Middle East conflict, and you compare it to the India Pakistan. I'm ashamed to say that until a year and a half ago, I was not aware of the British partition plan of 1947 between India and Pakistan. And it was only a student of mine, a Sikh student, who said to me, well, the reason my grandmother ended up in Kenya was because in the British partition plan of 1947 between India and Pakistan, they had to walk from where
Exactly.
they were in Pakistan to the Punjab region. And this is what happened along the way. And I said, I'm embarrassed. I know little about it. So I took an interest to find out about the dispute. And I wasn't aware that there were 12 million refugees. I
Exactly.
don't know the number of deaths, but 12 million refugees. And this particular, as you say, people have a lot of interest in the Middle East conflict. And that's, to me, is a question in itself. Now, 2 years before, there was a conflict that created 12 million refugees. You might know how many deaths there were in the history.
Yeah.
I
And look,
don't know.
again, you talking about some things that you heard. Here is a family that I know, and so many families I know who are actually ones who actually had to move, and how you had to leave a business, a running industry in Pakistan, and you had to just go on to live in a refugee camp with nothing. So all these are human stories which we need to put out there, that this is what really happens based on what one line that someone says, okay, this is the line we are creating so
Yes.
that
Yeah.
you now you move here and you go there.
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy at how these things happen.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So my question in this matter, and why I raised the India-Pakistan 47 partition, Britain's partition plan, is that's now been going on 2 years longer. Well, from a specific point than the Middle East conflict. It's had the number of refugees by a factor of 18 more. What is it that doesn't have people, because India and Pakistan are still at war, they still have skirmishes and
that's
there are conflicts. What is it that creates the deep, passionate, visceral engagement by people, as you said, that don't necessarily know the history in the Middle East conflict, that doesn't occur with the India-Pakistan conflict?
with
What is it? Because that's an important part to understand what drives the conflict.
no, that right now, let me tell you, because there is nothing much there happening there. So there's nothing much for the media to pick up or anyone to pick up. So there's not enough material for people to say there is history. Yes, there's lots I mean, in the sense documented. We have everyone knows at that point of time what happened. But today is just now politics of using that for to their advantage. So in Pakistan, they will talk about India. India has so much more happening, so they don't maybe won't talk so much about it. But because all the vested interests, maybe on each side of one arms industry, the army, the existence of an army based on this aspect, siphoning out money, all that those kinds of things happen. Your whole politics might be based on that. So those are things happening, but not enough for people to really take that much interest. Maybe they're going to have so much really today to pick up from there. They might hear of, or like you said, maybe something happened on the border, some little thing happened there, or something like that. Then you have terrorism into Kashmir, which happened, which today some changes are happening at the local level in relation to restructuring within India also as a state and things like that. So but I don't think there is enough for people to take that much interest. People take interest in things which are right there on their face every day. Because so for me, I don't even read the news. And today there is so much on Israel Palestine that I get on my feed. Maybe because I took interest in this circle and I started the process, and now every time whenever I open this, I'll have that Israel Palestine thing available to me. So there is a lot of content. So why not pick up something which, at least, like I said, people have so much to read about. So at least you are getting different sites available to you. So the algorithm, okay, might be giving you more of something, but there will be a lot available. So let's take this. And then for the others, you might have to I mean, someone will have to dig a little deeper and bring that information out. So we'll do that. But the
Mm.
stories, yes, today's stories are what we need to tell. So people who are alive today, who actually saw the partition and actually have to move, now they'll be really old. They'll be really old. Whether we can bring those people, are they available today? How many of them are alive? We'll have to see. Because even in the Israel-Palestine one, what happened in 1948? People who lived through that, do we have as many available to us to have a conversation with? That's the little issue for me, because I want real people who actually experienced it. And then,
Well, like Abe, who is the son,
yeah,
caught up in that, because I imagine Abe would have been 2 years of
yeah,
age,
yeah.
something like
He,
that.
he was actually, yeah, he was actually born. He was born in the refugee camp, so his family
Oh, okay.
moved
So
there.
he was post 48.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are children of people caught up in the India, Pakistan,
Yeah, yeah,
who
yeah. Lots of
who
it right
would
around
have
me.
parents.
No, no, right around
Yeah.
me, right around me. My wife's family, they had to move
There
from
you go.
there.
So
So
she would be someone to bring in a story. But from a conflict perspective now, I want to ask you a question. What is it that doesn't drive? You've mentioned that, well, it's not enough, it's not in the news. But India and Pakistan has had wars and skirmishes over the years. And as I said, they're still not at peace.
I don't
And
know,
you've
but
even got
we'll
a
be.
conflict. You've even got a conflict within Pakistan now because they're expelling 1.7 million Afghani refugees.
Yeah.
Can we? What prevents
Okay, that's
us from
interesting one.
discussing that topic?
That's an interesting one. I think that World Refugee Mediation Circle that I created, we have to create mediation circles as part of that, so we can look at this. That's okay. That's like, there's so many of these refugee issues around the world, so we can pick up one, whatever you think is right there up front available to us. We can pick up any of those and discuss that part of the refugee mediation circle. But they're all connected. I mean, a territorial dispute happens, and based on that, refugees come out. So that aspect is also connected. But we can discuss what the refugees go through, what they're going through, how people can actually in
Yeah,
some way help that. But for
we
you, the
can.
concern is, yeah, why the India Pakistan or not. India Pakistan also has to be taken, which is what I mean. Even the international territorial dispute thing that I'd spoken about, I'd also sent a message to Ken also, that we can have the larger circle. We can have a
Yeah,
conversation on the larger circle, because we picked up
yeah,
only two right now in relation
yeah.
to where he's been brought in. Because I want to start, I always like to start with him, is because of the larger view that he can give us. It's like the larger canvas that you draw, and then we'll, because a person with that much experience, I mean, reinventing the wheel is not really required if the thought process has come out based on so many conversations he's already had. So let's bring the larger perspective. And in this case, I mean, for him also, this was important because you're seeing people die every day. So for him, he was concerned about that also.
Yeah.
So we did this. This is today's situation. In the India Pakistan one is not really happening today. So, I mean, people are not
No,
dying.
it's not. But I'll tell you another one that was happening, say, in the last year, and that was there was 250,000 Yemenis
Yeah.
who were starved to death at the hands of the Houthis. Now, and that's my question, because I think this all relates to conflict within us. What is it that produces an almost cold, disconnected, view of, say, what's happened in Yemen with the Houthis and those 250,000 people who died of starvation? Compare that to the Middle East conflict. What is it that drives this one particular thing versus the others? I'll give you another one. Sri Lanka with the Tamils.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of people killed there. Rwanda, Nigeria, everywhere. And that's why I think it's an interesting question as to what is it that creates such a visceral reaction from us to discuss this particular matter. I think it's a worthwhile question that people need to answer. I think it's more than, well, that's relevant today, because we've got more, we've even got one with North Korea and South Korea, because Kim Jong-un threatened South Korea with annihilation as well as America. Now, we know he's makes these threats annually. It's a little bit early this year. Normally it's around Easter time, so he's a little bit early. What is it that doesn't create that same sense, that same visceral reaction when that happens versus the Middle East? Because that helps us deal with what it is that perpetuates the conflict, in my view.
Yeah, you should ask everyone that question. So this is one good question that we can ask everyone. Why is it that you, or is it that you're concerned with all of them? And because today I've created this circle, so we are part of this discussion. And when we
Yeah.
create that, you'll be
Yeah.
part of that discussion. So in that sense, we can test that out. Let's take another one. We can take India, Pakistan, and then we can start that process.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just that for me, look, I said that let's pick up one and put the framework together as to how we have to move ahead in all of them, so that at least we're not doing the same thing. Look, we've had now, this is actually gathering number 4. I don't call it conference, I call it gathering. So gathering number 4. So we're kind of getting into something, a little framework kind of thing, which is still not being created. Like I said, Paula and Fatma, and now of course you can also join them. Whoever joins them, just create a kind of a framework where people can give their inputs, because I want a space. Look, no one has that kind of time, and I don't have the funding to have one person sitting there and going out and putting all those things, thoughts, everyone's thoughts or things like that. So all of you have to contribute with your time, and maybe just your thoughts. As to, some people will give their thought as a structure, some people will actually be involved in putting it together. So slowly we're developing, let's call it a team of people who are saying, yes, I want to volunteer to do something. So we'll get those
Yes.
people together. So this will be the same thing everywhere else. You
Yeah.
are concerned, so you're coming into a conversation. Within the
Yes.
conversation, one, we also feel that, yes, you have an open mind to understand the larger perspective, or is it that you're stuck with yours and you're still not wanting to think? Or, I'm not saying change your mind, changing your mind can happen, but at least are you willing to think about it? So we'll get
Yes.
to know that also. So we know these are steps which happen in any of these that we create. And then after that, we'll open it out. Okay, in the next one, we know, okay, start with this, you can do this. This is the document available for the Israel Palestine, or the spreadsheet. We can start with that structure right from the beginning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least we take this model. For me, I don't, like I said, I don't read the news. For me, all of them are the same. Here, a lot of this is hitting me right in the face, so I'm reading those, and whatever I was reading, I started putting the links. All the links have still not gone there. I have so many more links, but I said you guys are not going to even read any of them, so let's not throw all this at
Oh,
you.
there's a lot. Yes, I
It's too
saw there's
much.
a
I'm
lot.
telling you, I have so
Yeah.
many more. I have so many
Yeah.
more. So I said, let's not do that. At least let's start with some framework. One, like you said, history, how much of
Yes.
history we can bring in. So
Yes.
let's, because
Yeah.
according to me, people are not going to click a link and read it also. But there's so
Yeah.
much more hitting them. So if we can, someone can summarize that, and we know that someone who's going to summarize it has that mind to not put in their thoughts and their biases and all that into that, but actually is just putting down, yes, we read this, and this seems to be something which is objective. First of all,
Yeah.
it has to go through your filter, so we put
Yeah.
that, and then as we go along, whatever. Look, for me, I know nothing about it in that sense. So much that is available, whether what really happened and how far back you want to go.
Sure.
So
Sure.
so the last time we discussed that history is one aspect of it.
Mm.
UN resolutions is what
Yep.
Ramsey was
Yep.
talking about. Then Orith came in and said, look, it's not just the legal part of it. Like in mediation, it's not about the rights and the legal aspect of it. There's so much more. So all that has to be brought in, but that aspect of it, of the human part of it and all, will be
Yes.
conversations, we'll bring that. But
Yeah.
what all we need to bring in, and how we going to take that forward, We'll get to know as we go along. So
Yeah.
I think similar things will happen in each of them.
Yeah,
History,
okay.
yeah.
I would be very interested to observe that. And as you said, the answer to my question might be, well, Peter, look, I just sort of suggested to set up the conference and people came in because they wanted to discuss it. So then maybe the question needs to be directed to you, Vikram, and that is that what was it? Two things. What was it that made you say, how I'm going to create this Middle East conference, Middle East conflict conference? And the second thing is, did you anticipate, or what were you anticipating in relation to the response?
Frankly, let me tell you, whenever I start anything, this is something that I don't even think about. I know it's going to grow organically. I know that. But to say that this is the one that I thought about, no, I actually, the India-Pakistan one also had to be launched. We have a very senior mediator in India who was supposed to do that, but then he wasn't well. So I'm waiting for him to reach the, I mean,
Yeah,
he kind of had cut off from everything because he
yes,
wasn't well. He wasn't well. So he had cut off. So because look, for me, I first have to start with someone. First, I know that this person has a mediator mindset. So as I look at the mediator mindset, so I know
yes,
that
yes,
whatever this person is saying is gives us the larger picture from his understanding. It's always good to start with that. But I mean, I still would want him to come, but if he is not well, we can't push him. We'll still create that. We'll still create that, which is not, I mean, this is, I mean, I've been putting it out to people in Pakistan also. We have to do it. But it's like for me, another circle. So for every circle, like what we just discussed, that we have to do the Australia mediation circle. So I want someone to take the lead. That's what I really want to do for each of the circles. That in this case, like Fatma at least went out and said, I'll create something. So Paula said, okay, I'll do it. Similarly, with each circle, if you see, there's normally a face there because I really want a face for each circle. But now the Greece one that's happening, if you saw the post, I don't know whether you saw it, but now there are 11 faces there on that, whatever, for yesterday, what I put out, 11 faces there. But we
yeah,
need to put faces out there, one,
yes,
and we have to have those people take the lead in their country. So that's the country ones. Then the issue ones, someone takes the lead. So Ken has launched those like the global
yes,
climate change and environmental one, but I'm still waiting for someone to take the lead in each of them. So that's how it's going to grow. So it's not about just picking this up. For me, they're all the same. I mean, finally, it all comes down to, like you said, even if that one person somewhere in some way gets inspired or wants to take it further, I'm happy with that itself. I mean, that's this conversation that we're having because
yeah,
I put this out. That's good enough for me. And we are putting it out on YouTube. Someone listens to it and connects with you or with the issue and takes it forward. I'm happy. So my
yeah,
job's done. After that, how it grows, I mean, it will grow according to me, the way I see the response. So whether when we do India, Pakistan, or Yemen, or anywhere else, people take the lead and have that conversation. But it's not just them having the conversation. I want everyone to go out and create the circles for other people to
yes,
have the conversations. It's a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
about them leading it. And
yeah,
okay, now the new thing that I came out with was people have to pay to be part of what we are doing unless they create a circle. If they create a circle, they don't have to. And now because I want to push people to create circles. Because otherwise, what's happening is like, okay, there's this gathering happen and people come in and have that conversation
yeah,
and walk
sure,
out. But
sure,
I'm going to ask people, have you created a circle? It's
yes,
simple. I'm saying create a circle
yes,
in your family. Forget anywhere else in your family. I've created a circle on this issue. Okay, Israel, Palestine. I'm doing that. If it's India, Pakistan, anyone, have you
yeah,
created a circle? So just do that. Even that
yeah,
4, 5, 6, 10 people start it off and then they create circles within their communities or families further, or in some in their they have children, people have children in schools and colleges. Just tell them to go and create something there. So that's what now the focus is.
and and in order for it to be of substance, you see, as I said, my ignorance when it came to the 1947 partition, British partition between India and Pakistan, you would expect that by participating in this conference, certainly come along to learn, but be aware that there might be these specific aspects that may be deemed non-parochial for any particular perspective that would give you an ability just to feel as though you could participate as well. Because as you pointed out, there's a lot of people in this debate, in this conference,
gathering. Call it
gathering.
gatherings. Yes. Conference
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
like too formal.
Oh, okay, gathering. Yep. And who might be coming along and who might be writing popular belief, media, cartoons, whatever it might be, and you scratch just the surface and there's very, very little substance.
Yeah.
So in order to be able to create something about India, Pakistan, you might tell me, watch this film, read this paper, check this particular research article, look at this chapter in the book, and you will then be able to gain some benefit. So while I believe I can walk into a mediation and conduct it without any background, it's also good to have some background.
No, that's what we discussed yesterday again. That the idea is that in each of the areas that we discuss, so it could be the history of the dispute. Let's bring in someone who is an expert on that. Let's bring that person in. Look, we are saying expert, but we still have to, from our side, do that little filter. That is this expert coming with the larger picture or pushing a certain agenda or whatever. So that filter is for us also, anyone listening to it also, for them also when they listen to people. But we at least have this opportunity to do it without any vested interest, because no one is funding this. So I don't have to push it in a certain direction. So we can bring that. So similarly, look, we have what I've seen here, which would be the similar thing to the India Pakistan. Is first there is history, then there are UN resolutions. So someone takes us through that. Look, we can all read it. I mean, you can read it. I would still may not be able to get. I'm saying not get time. Everyone has time, but maybe I just feel that let someone else pick up, because there's I have put a link to, and which everyone can find all the UN resolutions in relation to the Israel-Palestine one. So each of them to be read and some gist of it. Even what is happening in the ICJ, I haven't heard any of those hearings. So I mean, of course, it's all available to the public to hear. So someone please listen to that, tell us about it. It's not about the content, it's about who's going to tell us about it. So if Peter's telling us, is he coming from, if we feel that yes, but Peter's telling us, he's giving us the larger picture, he's not giving us something that those are his biases on it and things like that. So that's something we'll get to know. And whenever we feel that this conversation is being directed in a certain way and the objectivity is being lost, we can always remove people from the conversation. It's not that everyone who comes in has to stay.
And look, to remove someone, I don't think needs to happen, because I think then they fail to miss the potential opportunity of being able to have a mind shift, So for me, even if a person's got an extreme view, allow them to speak, and that's it. And then someone else will move on, and it'll be identified that that's one particular view, that person's view, and so what? We move on. But it does, by removing them, unfortunately, they miss out on what some of the other gems.
No, everyone still has access to what's happening in terms of the recordings available, so they can always give their inputs. The input sometimes might not be them being in the Zoom session. Maybe it could be comments on YouTube or LinkedIn. And
yes. Well, perhaps there's a ceremony to have at the beginning about this concept of survival of identity and having awareness about that. And to say, in this mediation circle, we appreciate that we do have identification with the issues. And as mediators, we need to have that awareness so that we can at least separate ourselves in this conversation from our identity in that particular part that we cling on to as our badge of who we are.
Which is something like what Orith had said yesterday. Please listen to that, because you missed out on yesterday's thing. So please watch that, because I think, look, finally, I think there are similar thoughts coming out as to how people are looking at it and how we want people to participate. So growing, it's a work in progress. Like I said, Only thing is this time I put the next one into March, because let's give people enough time to bring in content, yes, but still filter it and put it into a structure so that can be shared. And when
Yes.
we can get a lot more people who have gone through that aspect of it and then bring in their contribution, because otherwise they might be limited in terms of the conversation, in terms of content, because there is the larger picture. But only thing is, will people find time to kind of summarize it? Because today, as I see it, people seem to be short in terms of time. So like we have these long videos like I have, and then people have shorts, those 1 minute ones. So my whether people, I don't think people have time to watch my 1.5 hour ones. So I also need to take out clips from it, which of course
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
have
yeah.
time to
You
do
haven't
it.
had time
I don't
for it.
have time to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but no, but this was an onus I'd put on people watching all that. I said, all you have to do is you watch something and you found it interesting. Tell me from what time to what time that was interesting, and I can take that clip out, because you have to do the work for me. Well, I
yeah.
can't go back to those 675 videos and see. Again, this is a team. Look, when there is funding for
Fantastic.
something, if the
Yes.
people can, you can put people on it. And I have had some students coming to me that I'll take something out, and then they go into their exams and everything. So it's not a consistent kind of thing happening. So it'll happen whenever it has to happen, and people take an interest, they'll watch it. Someone will summarize it. There's someone from Pakistan, a student there. He had started 1 or 2 sessions. He was participating in the World Mediators Conference. So 1 or 2 sessions, he actually put a summary there, which was really nice for people. So there's the summary, and there's the link to the video. Now,
Yeah,
this is the summary, plus this is a clip, which is, you can watch this clip, and each of you can do it. You can do it. I mean, you can tell me, and if you don't, I don't know whether you people can download those videos. I don't think you should be able to. And if you can, maybe you'll have to change the setting. but,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you can always tell me, and I can send you a link to that video, and you can edit it. So, I mean, idea is that those conversations and those clips should be out there for people to listen to.
yeah, yeah. Let's hope that it spreads. That's the key thing. You
That's the
know,
key thing.
that's yeah,
And spreads, and the right people come in. That's the important part. And that's
yeah,
what has been my basic objective, and
yeah.
also the challenge. That
Yes, yeah.
because of
And as
what
I
you
said, I'll go back to the beginning when we started. Conference number 3, so 2 times ago. It was over an hour and a half.
yeah, the first one was the launch. That was the one that
Yeah, I was there
Ken did.
towards
Yeah.
the end part, and
Yeah.
then conference number 2 I missed out. But what Denise demonstrated there elevated that
Yeah.
conversation immediately to the conversation that was
No,
required.
even yesterday, the direction that she wanted to put, and this is what I said, that question that she put out there, good starting point. So that's why I'm saying everyone will come up with interesting ways to go about it. So one, I mean, if you create another circle, say, like I said, India, Pakistan. So, let whoever people come in, let's ask them that question. Why are you here? So
Yeah,
if we
yeah,
have a starting point available without,
yeah,
supposing
yeah,
Dennis hadn't said this and we did not have that, we would not have taken it. Now we
yeah,
have it available to us, so we can put that out. And each of
yeah.
those things don't have to be people coming into the Zoom. They can send it separately. They can put it in a comment somewhere. So let's get people involved.
Well, the other question I think it'd be valuable to ask is the people who come along here, and that is what could a peace settlement in the Middle East conflict potentially offer its people? And what we do in that way, we shift it to a future focused, a vision, and we make it in the third person. So we're really going to the balcony and looking down and saying, well, this is how these people may be able to interact. And that separates us from the issue because we may be able to define a lot better by talking about the issue in a third person, in a third position, or from a third position perspective in NLP.
Look, in terms of what people benefiting, I'm telling you that when people create their circles in their village. It could be down to village. Look, last year what happened was I had brought in some. I mean, this is of course a private conversation. Wasn't out. It's not out on YouTube. So I brought in some mediators from Israel and Palestine, and this is what I at that time, this World Mediation Circle and mediation circles wasn't out there as something which I was doing. It was a thought that time. So I brought them there, and I'd said that why don't you at least reach out to, I'm down to the village level, just this question, that is there someone in that village, it could be a town, it could be a city, I'm in a community, wherever, just send this message out, that is there someone with that kind of a mindset and someone who helps people resolve disputes. Let's identify those people in every village, in Israel, in Palestine, everywhere, and let them start this conversation there. And when it builds up from there, and you can actually influence the politics of a country. If it's all people, finally it's people, because if from upwards there is a position which has been taken, and that's your agenda, and that's how you're surviving in politics, maybe you might not be able to really change things, maybe not. But if you, from ground
Yeah,
upwards, if you work, and if you can create a certain, I mean, if people can sit together and there is a consensus or whatever, they can change things. And this is where, again, I read it out from my website, and I'll do it again here, which is, give me 1 second to put it up, and which is what, in relation to the mediation circles. But only thing, Peter, you should go to the website sometime. You find a lot of
no, I
links.
will. I will.
There
And
was,
just in our conversation, yeah, sorry, go on.
no, there was like yesterday, Orith has been she was in that first symposium that I organized in 2021. She still hasn't gone to my website.
Oh.
She said, "Oh, because I opened the website and I showed her what all is there." Then she was, "Oh, it sparks my interest. I will go there." So what you find here is, of course, what the events that are happening and all the connection thing. But here, the World Mediation Circle, a bit about it, what the thought, and in terms of politics, what I have put out there, and this is again a work in progress. This will change, but mediation circles will redefine politics at the local, national, global level by moving from the colonial legacy of divide and rule to consensus building with mediators as leaders. So this is what, if it can happen at the local level, and we can start that change in some way, who knows what's going to happen. And this is just a thought there, which can only reach places if every one of you takes it forward. And this part of it, look, these are issues for me in relation to the way things are structured today. There's activism, there's advocacy, and the way politics is structured.
Yeah,
These things we can
yeah,
work on.
yeah, yeah,
Only thing is
yeah.
that these are industries now. There's huge amounts of money involved there. Even the peace industry. I mean, I haven't spoken about the peace industry. That's also an industry. If you talk about the war industry, the arms industry, we talk about, there's a peace industry also. So all that is going to do what it's doing, and it's been going on for a long time. But here we are trying to create something which, for me, I feel is different. But let's see how it grows. So okay, so the website you have to go to, and here you'll find the various mediation circles which have been launched, and you'll find the YouTube link to the launches. Then if you go down to each of the circles, I'll put out for each circle what's been happening. So in case of this circle, now this is circle number 17. So you'll find the launch, the link to the launch, then gathering number 1, gathering number 2, then yesterday's
Yep.
and today's videos will also, the links will come here. So you'll find this here.
Okay.
This section
Yep.
is the edutainment for the year. So in this, you'll find what's happening. Right now, the Zoom link remains the same. So you don't even have to ask for the Zoom link. You can just come here and see what's
Yes.
happening. So now you know that, okay, 17th at 11:30, we have this gathering, like you came in. So I don't even have to put out
Yes.
posts. I don't even have to send out
Yeah.
emails. Because why should I trouble you
Yeah.
also by filling up your inbox? So you
Well,
just come.
it's beneficial because I get a reminder that that's the key thing.
That's it. So you know this,
And,
but you can
and
always come here. You can always come here, have a look, and just click the link. Like today, now we have this at 8:30 India time. No invitations have been sent because, like I just told you, 1:30, I just finished the Greece mediation circle posts. No, but
yeah,
if people want to come in, just come in. Oh, what do I have to do? I'm doing my work. I put on the Zoom meeting. Like, so for today, if you hadn't come in, the Zoom meeting would have been on, and I would have been doing my work that's why I've kept the time at a certain time when I can put in. So to Wednesdays, my golf course is closed. So the morning session is available. Same thing on Saturdays.
Right.
Saturdays mornings are available. So I'll be fixing time. And as we go along, yeah. So like we just did today, for each of the circles, we'll have a certain time. Okay. So like we did
Yeah.
first Tuesday of every month, you know that yes, something is happening on that circle. You come in. For any
Yes.
reason, if I'm not available, I can ask some of you to maybe take it forward. If I'm busy somewhere, I can always start the meeting. I can make you the host, and then you can continue it. So there's lots of options in that way we'll do. So that's how it's structured. The website.
Okay.
And then let me take you through it, because chances are you might not be able to go through it's a very small, it's like a notice board. It's more a notice board than a website. So you'll find all links to all the shows and events that Ken has been part of. You'll find all the links here.
Yep.
This itself will take you a long time to watch those. Then for each of the other years, you'll find whatever happened in that year, and you'll find links. You'll find links to, say, if it was the World Mediators Conference, you'll just click here for the schedule. This Excel sheet will open up. All the topics and the speakers and the YouTube links will be there, right? So similarly for each of the other
Fantastic.
symposia, but the onus on you now, Peter, is that you have to create circles of each of the
Yes.
topics. And like we
Yes.
have the Indigenous Peoples Mediation Circle. This was, of course, the symposium. Like we have the World Indigenous Peoples Mediation Circle. We need an Australia Indigenous Peoples Mediation Circle. Has to be created. So lots of work to
Yeah.
be done. Lots of work to be done. So that's what the website is
Wonderful.
about.
Well, you've got a great foundation here, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, so now I've just
Incredible
created this.
foundation.
So let's take it forward
Yeah.
from there. And let's
Yeah.
bring in people, because like I said, for me, I mean, time is not an issue. We can always fix up the time, but let's bring in people from Australia and New Zealand into the conversation, because definitely up look, first thing is it's Ken's events. A lot of people are interested in Ken's events, but those happen in the evening or late night. Yes, yesterday on Monday it was 10:30 my time, because for him it's
Yep.
9 o'clock in the morning. So that's the
Yes.
time he's
Yes.
available. So I can't.
Yeah.
I have told him sometimes, can we make it a little earlier? But he said, look, I have my meditation I have to go through, and I can't blame him. I mean,
Yes.
he needs that
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
for himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're very lucky to have him. You know, that's amazing.
Yeah. No, he's
To
been
have
really nice.
access to such an icon, it's just incredible, and his wisdom that he has in every phrase. You don't read his books, I do. So after I read a paragraph, I have to stop, close the book, absorb what it is that it's saying in that, open it up again, and continue on. So sometimes I feel such a joy with what he's explained to me within a paragraph. I say, well, that's enough for right now. I've got to digest that. I've got to let it wash over me and look how I can implement it.
And this is the same thing with the recordings of whatever he's been part of. You'll watch it. It'll be something that you nearly have to think about.
Yes.
It's not that that 1.5 hours also that, okay, I've heard this. No, you can go back to it. This is what the whole thing is. It's available to everyone. Look, access even books. Of course, we would want people to put out all their books for everyone to watch, but they also have a house to run. They also have a stomach to feed. So I can't expect everything out there. But he's been so nice to at least give this time. But because people in some parts of the world charge for sessions that Ken does, and not small amounts. So at least I said, let everyone benefit from his words of wisdom. Why should those words of wisdom be available only because you can pay for them? So, and that's the idea of everything that I do. I mean, when I keep talking. I mean, with Ken also I've spoken about it, and he also gave a nice message, which I, of course, if you open my YouTube channel, that's the first message you give. That okay, support, but that support doesn't happen, and I realize that look, if it's available for free, why would you want to do it? So now I said, look, create circles, be part of the movement, take it forward, don't pay. That by itself is payment in a way, but if you can't do that, you just want to watch videos and you benefited from it, then you can send a gift, and that's also a gift concept that I did. And so revolution goes forward when either people take it forward or funds come in that I can take it forward by bringing in people. So that's how it's kind of structured. Open access to everyone in the world.
So going on with what you're saying, if I was to create a circle, do I just say, look, I've got 6 people ready to have a circle. Can you please set it up for this time? Is that
Absolutely.
what I do?
Absolutely. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Like I said, this Australia Mediation Circle, give me a date when you're available. We'll fix that date for the launch. I'll circulate the information, you'll circulate the information, and whoever wants, look, that'll be just the launch. Whoever wants to come in, not a problem. Then we'll have, like we're having the gatherings here, we'll have the gathering of that circle. But where are we going with that circle? For the concept of each circle is the same. We are going towards creating them in every school, college, even families, organizations, communities.
Yeah.
That's what we are going in each of the circles. So issue that
Yeah.
has been coming up is that either people don't have that time because you are busy people. So you can tell me, I can reach out to people and fix the time, and you can come in for that time at that time, because you are required to at least give people that support. Yes, I have that experience, and I can, in some way, if you need some help in relation to maybe just even just telling people about it, telling people about,
Yeah.
giving them the larger picture. I'm available, I'll come in then. But idea is for you to people to do it on their own, have their gatherings there. So that's how the numbers will happen. Because the way I look
Yes.
at it, if you look at every school, even in the city that you are, it's a huge number. You can't be part of all those gatherings. So you have to leave it to them. But you have to give the direction. Direction is
Yeah.
one, this is the way I look at mediation. That's the starting point, the humanistic approach to it and all that. So that's the
Yeah.
way I want you to do it. There are other ways that people look at mediation that will also exist. I mean, you're not saying anyone is wrong. If they have to be just settlement conferences and it's not about relationships, perfectly all right. If that's the way people want it, not a problem. But we are creating
Yeah.
this aspect of it, and that's the way we would want you to do it. And we are not coming to teach you anything. That's I am
Okay.
is very, very clear about
Okay.
that.
Yep. Yep. No, no. But
So
now
it's
you've told me what to do, so that's beneficial.
no, but this
That's
is not something
beneficial.
that we're leaving for the future. You give me a date in March when you want to launch the Australia Mediation Circle, and let's do it. So basically, we look, because it's going to be in the morning, so it has to be a Wednesday or a Saturday. I'm okay with Sundays also, but let's keep it from Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Okay. And March is the only time you wouldn't have anything this month.
No, actually, what's happening is my daughter, she's in Stockholm, so she's coming in after a year next week. So I did not want to put in anything while she's here. So I said, like, I'm available. She might
Yeah.
not have time for
Yeah.
me, might not have time for me, but I should be available. So she's going to be there up till, I think, I mean, right now it's up till mid-Feb, but maybe beyond that. So I said, let's keep
Yes.
February out of it. And we can
Yes.
always look.
Yes.
I don't want to fix anything for that time, but when I closer to that
Yes.
time, I'll know, okay, she's not available or something, and I can always fix the gathering. But for the launch,
And
we'll, yeah. Yep.
you will host it then. So
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I
yeah,
bring a
yeah.
group of people, you'll be the host.
I'll be the host. I'll put
Fantastic.
out all the social media posts. I mean, if people, who all are coming, if you send me their pictures, I'll put their pictures out. I'll mention them in the social media posts also. So all that is my job. So you don't have to worry about any of that. That's why I'm saying, look, your time, I mean, no, you might not be able to take out so much. So I'm available for that support. But then beyond that, we have to, in a way, push those people to do it at their local level
Yes.
to reach out. So we'll do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
March, any
Okay.
date in March that you have right now? Wednesdays or
No,
Saturdays?
but I'm going to come back to you very quickly
Perfect.
with some times, suggested times, and see what you think.
No issue. Perfect. Great. So now the next gathering, when the next gathering is happening, the March one, the one on the first Tuesday of March that you've noted down.
First Tuesday of March. That's the next Middle East one.
Yeah, but at the same time, we will still be, of course, interacting otherwise, not on these gatherings, but how to structure it. You will be getting in touch with Paula, Fatima, Denise. We can
Yeah.
always have that conversation going
And
on.
Roger, keep in touch with Roger, absolutely.
Roger,
Which I
Roger,
have done.
Ramsey's been
Just
regular.
I will get in
Yeah,
touch with. Yeah, I'll get in
Absolutely.
touch with some of the others.
So
Right.
people, what happens is, look, we were talking about this aspect of putting it out on social media, live and all. But good part is there were people listening. So there was Frederick, she's in Netherlands, she was listening. So I sent her the Zoom link right there. She came in. So that's how we'll add people. So that's why this broadcasting is required. So it's not just private sessions happening, because for me, all the things that I did, idea was to put it out, like which I just discussed with you when you came in. Let's put it out.
Yes.
Someone listens
Yes.
to it, something that they connect with, will always help us.
Yes.
So let's put it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Vikram, it's dinner time here.
Yes, and it's lunchtime here.
Ah, so can we have a break?
Yes,
And I'll see
absolutely.
you again, but I'll email you with some thoughts that I've got and get
Absolutely.
your look. But thank you very much for having this conversation. It's been a
It was
pleasure.
lovely. It was lovely. And we have to keep having them, and we'll create the larger circles, and we'll keep doing that. So thank you very much. And I'll see you whenever. It'll happen sooner than March for sure, but the official one will
Yeah,
happen. Those will happen in March. We'll do that.
right, right.
All right.
Just a film I don't know if you've seen called The Last Governor.
No.
Okay,
Pictures and
so
books. Books are little those things I don't get so much time for. But
you don't watch movies.
I mean, I do sometimes, but I don't really get too much time, because look, with my golf and the mediation promotion, there is so much happening there. But the other things, I'm not saying get affected, but don't get so
Okay.
much time for that. But idea is that you will give us a gist of that. So what we'll do is talking movies. I've done talking books. We'll do talking movies. So what is this movie that The Last Governor, about?
The last, I'm pretty sure it's The Last Governor, but there might be another term. But it is specifically about Lord Mountbatten and the partition plan with India and Pakistan. Very, very interestingly done. May not be historically perfectly accurate, but it provided an idea of potentially what happened. Of course, they introduced a love story because it wouldn't be a movie without a love interest in there.
No, there were stories at that time about Mountbatten and his wife and our prime minister and things like that. A lot of those stories went around. So yeah, it's good. It's another story which comes in.
Yeah,
So I'll tell you
yeah.
what I'll also do is I'll try and fix a date for the India-Pakistan mediation circle also, and then I'll try and do it at a time which is convenient for you, so we can do that launch also. So because you've got that interest
Lovely.
there, let's take that forward. And by that time, you would have maybe read certain things, seen certain things, and some
Yep.
inputs and can come. Perfect.
Yep.
So
And remember, at some stage, the question I raised is, what is it about this conflict, the Middle East conflict, that just drives the visceral responses of people who generally are not engaged in interest in world conflict? To me, because that explains to us what's happening within us about conflict.
no, I think it's because I don't know. Is it? I'm not saying that people are more active in relation to this, but the protests and all that you've seen happening in the US and I mean from the Palestinian and the Israeli side of it, say the India-Pakistan one, you didn't see any of that happening. It's not that. So this way around the world, there has been activity. People have really taken it forward, and maybe because presently people, at this time people are affected and have been affected, and today people are, I mean, in terms of settlements and things like that, there's activity happening today on the ground, and someone's affected, and people have moved out, and of course they're affected and they're helpless maybe, and they can't do anything, so they put it out on social media, maybe on the streets. So maybe that's the difference. And today in the India-Pakistan world, there is nothing like that happening. So there is nothing that you see around you.
So let's take Syria, because for the last 15 years, there's been 700,000 people killed,
Yeah.
12 million, 50% actually the population refugees. I don't see the same visceral response.
So let's take it up. Let's take it up, because these are people. Even one person
That's
affect.
the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
No, no.
question for
No,
me.
we'll take
All
each
right.
of them. Each of
Yeah.
them. We will create that circle. So both sides of it. One, the territorial dispute part of it. Dispute, because I had when I started off also, I said let's look at the situation first with disputes. Let's try and help resolve disputes. Conflicts, there's lots to happen there, whether we can resolve the conflict, and do we want to resolve the conflict. All conflicts don't
Yeah.
have to be resolved. All conflicts
Yeah.
don't have to be resolved, but disputes should be resolved. So look at the dispute situation, and wherever the disputes are today, That territorial dispute is something which, of course, it is something which is there's a legal part of it, there's a human part of it, and
Yes.
things affect it. So we look at the disputes. So that are part of the territorial disputes, international territorial disputes mediation circle. Just think of the various ones that we have to put out. We'll put that information out. We'll have people coming in for that. So Syria is there, India,
Yes.
Pakistan is there. So each of them,
Yeah.
let's identify all of them. So we'll, while I guess maybe in February I might not be doing that, but this aspect we can keep doing the planning part of it, so that in March these various circles can be launched.
Sounds good. What have you got for lunch?
I don't know. Someone was just calling me to tell me, but I didn't take that call. So
Sorry, don't go hungry for me. That's all right.
so okay. So anyway, it was really nice, and we'll meet soon, and I won't take so much of your time. Maybe with me, that's the problem you'll face, because it was only you. You could not leave, but you always have to be. Maybe you're not impolite by saying, "Look, Vikram, I've had enough. I have to go." I don't mind, because you will see that we've had the longest session was 4.5 hours without a break. So definitely everyone can't sit through all of them. That was a conversation. There's a series that I called In Conversation with a Beautiful Mind. So that was only Michelle and me. So
Yeah,
definitely we were
yeah,
into her story about her.
yeah.
So it went on for 4.5 hours. So don't ever you don't ever feel that you are being impolite by saying I have to leave
Thank you.
at all.
Thank you very much. All right, Vikram.
See you. Bye. Thank you very much. And I'll
See you.
upload. Yeah, this video is up there. This recording is up there. You can also circulate this information. Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right. See you then. Bye.